everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I've been playing with the bargain bead box again, the latest spring blossom collection, and I'm going to make a necklace today. This will be the last necklace, probably the last piece I'll make out of this box because I don't have any of the bigger beads left. I've got several of the little tiny beads left, the little 3 and 3.5 millimeter beads, but I don't have any of the larger beads left. I've already made 3 necklaces and 3 pairs of earrings. So this will make 4 necklaces and 3 pairs of earrings. And one of the necklaces was a lariat and it took a lot of beads. So that's still quite a few pieces out of one box. I believe it's a really good value. In case you're not familiar, Bargain Bead Box is a monthly subscription of beads and findings. It's $19.49 a month, and that includes shipping in the United States. They have beautiful beads and findings. It's always curated around a different theme each month. And if you're a subscriber to the Bargain Bead Box, you get a 30% off coupon to use in Bead Box Bargains, which is their sister store. And you can use it as many times as you want to during the month. And they already have great prices. I have a coupon code. It's Teresa2, and I'll put it on the screen here and in the description box below, along with a link to the page to sign up for the subscription if you're interested. The coupon code will save you $2 off your first box if you sign up. In here I've got the 10 millimeter, a few of the 10 millimeter, the only ones I have left, of the 10 millimeter matte pink aventurine round beads. I have a couple of the 8 millimeter rose quartz round beads. And I have one of the 14 millimeter rose quartz carved rose beads. In here I have some of the 3.5 by 3 millimeter crystal faceted rondelle beads. It was a pastel mix. In here I've got all of the ones I have left of the 6 millimeter frosted glass beads, pink ombre / gold. In here I have 2 of the bead caps that came in the box. I only had 3 left, so I've got 2 of them in there. And then I've got some bead caps from my stash. And here I've got some little spacer beads from my stash. And here I've got some findings. I've got a couple of pieces of chain from the box. I've got a ball head pin and one of the little green rondelle beads that I'm going to hang off the extender chain for a dangle, and some extender chain and some jump rings and a lobster clasp. And I have 4 wire guardians and 4 2x2 crimp tubes. I'm not going to be making any earrings today because I don't have any larger beads left to make earrings with, so this will just be a necklace. I've got my Soft Flex beading wire in fine. This is 19 strand, and this is Extreme Flex, and the color is Champagne. I just happened to get a bunch of these on sale in a lot. Usually I just use the regular fine Soft Flex beading wire, and it doesn't really matter about the color because once you get all the beads on there, you're not going to be able to see the color of the wire. I think I'll try, the next time I order, I think I'll get some of the 7 strand, probably Beadalon bead string and wire and see how that works. I'm sure that works just as well, and it's quite a bit less expensive than this is. I've got my bead stoppers. The crimp tubes I use are Beadalon. I've got my chain nose pliers and my tweezer pliers. Tweezer pliers are Xuron. I've got both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. These I got from BB Craft many years ago, and these are called Glitter Line. I have my round nose pliers that I got from BB Craft many years ago, and I have a new pair of crimping pliers. These are Xuron 4-in-1 crimping pliers, and I've wanted to try these for a long time, and I never have bought any. And then a necklace or 2 ago, I had a crimp fail here on video. So I decided I'd go ahead and get some of these and see how they work. They have little things in there where you can do, I think, 3 millimeter, 2 millimeter, and 1 millimeter crimp beads. And then the end is you can use them as a chain nose plier. I have got some 1 millimeter crimp beads. I don't use them very often. I think I bought them by mistake. I always use the 2x2 crimp tubes, but I have used the 1 millimeters before. I've never used a 3 millimeter. I don't imagine I would ever need to use a 3 millimeter, but I'm going to try these today and see how they work. I've got both pairs of my cutters. One pair I use for bead stringing wire, and the other pair I use for craft wire and head pins and eye pins. And I have my little New Orleans shot glass that I use to put my wires in when I get done. When I get done, cut them off. I'm only going to use a lot of these tools when I make the little dangle at the end of the necklace. Mostly, it's just stringing. So, as many as I can find, I'll post links for all the stuff that I'm using in the description box below. I think that's everything. So hold on, and I'll get some of this out of the way, and I'll be back. Okay, I got my beads poured out here, and I'm going to start. This is going to be a 2-strand necklace, and it's going to be all stringing. I'm going to do like I've done before with multi-strand necklaces. I'm going to string up both strands and crimp one, and then I'll crimp the other one off camera. I hear myself sometimes say this is just going to be simple stringing, and I don't know why in the world I ever say that, because there's nothing about stringing that is simple to me. I've worked all day trying to come up with a design that I liked. I can do bead weaving so much easier than I can do stringing. I so admire people that can just string up something really beautiful on the fly. That's not something I can do. I'm going to start out with 3 of my little tiny spacer beads out of my stash. And then I'm going to do a pink, one of my little tiny pink rondelles. And another little tiny spacer. And then I'm going to do 3 of my green rondelles. One of my little tiny spacers. I'm going to do 3 of my pink rondelles. One of my little tiny spacers. And I'm going to do 3 more of my green rondelles. And a little tiny spacer. I'm going to do 3 of my 6mm beads. And a little tiny spacer. And then one of my little green rondelles. And then one of my bead caps from my stash. And one of my 8mm beads. And another bead cap from my stash. And another little green rondelle. Another little bead spacer bead. No. A bead cap that came in the box. In case y'all hadn't figured it out, I'm looking at my phone to make sure I get this the way I want it. Now I'm going to do one of my aventurine beads. and a little tiny spacer. And one of my green rondelles. And a little tiny spacer. And I'm going to do my rose bead here. And one of my little tiny spacers. And a green rondelle. And a little tiny spacer. And another one of my aventurine beads. And another one of the bead caps that came in the box. And then one of my little green rondelles. One of the bead caps from my stash. My 8mm rose quartz bead. Another bead cap from my stash. One of my little green rondelles. One of my tiny little spacer beads. Three of my 6mm beads. One of my little spacer beads. Three of my green rondelles. Another little tiny spacer bead. Three of my pink rondelles. One of my little tiny spacer beads. Three of my green rondelles. My little tiny spacer beads. One pink rondelle. And three little tiny spacer beads. So that's going to be my longest strand. So now let me get my beads out here, and I'll cut this off my spool, and I'll get my beads out here and string up my shorter strand. Hold on. Okay, now for this one I'm going to start out with three of my little tiny spacer beads. Then I'm going to do three pink rondelles. And I'm going to do a little tiny spacer bead. I'm going to do one of my green rondelles. A little tiny spacer bead. Do 3 of my pink rondelles. One of my little tiny spacer beads. One of my green rondelles. One of my little tiny spacer beads. Three of my 6mm beads. One of my little tiny spacer beads. One of my green rondelles. Another tiny spacer bead. One of the bead caps from my stash. One of my aventurine beads. Another bead cap from my stash. Spacer bead. One of the bead caps from my stash. Another aventurine bead. Another bead cap from my stash. Another spacer bead. Another bead cap from my stash. Another aventurine bead. Another bead cap from my stash. Little spacer bead. Little green rondelle. Another spacer bead. 3 of my 6mm beads. Another spacer bead. Green rondelle. Spacer bead. Three pink rondelles. Another spacer bead. One green rondelle. Another spacer bead. Three pink rondelles. I'm going to end with 3 spacer beads. That's going to be my inner strand. Let me zoom out here a little bit. I went the wrong way. Okay, so that's going to be my inside strand. And that's going to be my outside strand. Well, you can't see that. I'm too high up. It's going to be my outside strand. And that's going to be my inside strand. So I'm going to get my crimp tubes and things out here, and I'll crimp one of them. Hold on. Okay, now I'm going to crimp one of my strands here. Put my crimp tube on here and my wire guardian. And then go down the other channel of my wire guardian. Back down my crimp tube. I'm going to try to hold my wires apart so they don't get crossed. I'm going to go in this part here that has the little notch on one side, a little tooth over here on the right. Lay my crimp in there. Pull this up, make sure there's no wire coming out the top here. Squeeze. And I'm going to turn it around here. And that puts each little wire in its own individual channel, and that looks like they're way more separated than with my other crimping pliers, so I think I'm going to like these. And now I think I'm supposed to go in that second part that has the little circles on each side for a 2x2 crimp tube. I'm going to go in there and lay my crimp in there, squeeze and fold my crimp. And then I think I'll go down there to what's supposed to be for the number 1 crimp tube and squeeze again. Just for a little extra security there. Give it a tug. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's very good. I think I'm really going to like these new crimpers. Now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. I'm going to go down here to this other end. Put my crimp tube on. My other wire guardian. Go down the other channel of my wire guardian and back through my crimp tube. Make sure my wires are not crossed. And I'm going to try to go in a bead on this side because it's just try to get my hands out of the way when I'm pulling my wire through and trying to crimp and all that. Make sure my wires are not crossed, and I think they're really trying to get crossed. Okay, now I want to make sure there's no slack in my piece, but I don't want it to be too tight either because I want to be able to drape well. This is where you need about 12 hands to hold all this. Tap my little wire guardian in here a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go into that part with the little tooth on it again. lay my crimp in there. Squeeze. Turn it around. And go in that second part there like I did before. Squeeze. And I'm going to go down to the next one and squeeze. Give it a tug. That's good. Now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. So that's going to be my outer strand. So now I'll crimp the other strand off camera and then I'll be back. Okay, y'all, I have made a discovery. These crimping pliers are awesome because when I crimp, I always squeeze really hard. Most people don't have to squeeze as hard as I do, but I just do because I don't have very much strength in my hands. So I did the same thing as I always do with these. I squeezed really hard. And after I turned the camera off and got to looking, I noticed that my last little spacer bead was completely destroyed. I had squeezed so hard. This is it. It's just completely destroyed it. And I had to get another spacer bead out and restring it. You don't have to squeeze hard at all with these crimpers. I don't even have to squeeze as hard. I'm going to do this over. I already restrung it and did one side, and I'm just going to do this over. But you just don't have to squeeze hard at all with these crimpers. I've always liked Xeron tools, but I had no idea that would make such a difference in crimpers. Plus, I'm surprised that they've got a green handle. I thought everything Xeron made always had blue handles, which I've always kind of found a little bit inconvenient because if they have different colored handles, it's easier to not get them mixed up when you're picking them up and putting down so many different tools. I like the fact that these have a green handle instead of a blue one. I'm going to do this again, and I'm just going to very gently squeeze. And I'm going to turn it around and fold my crimp very gently. I can get it to lay in there right. Well, it's wanting to twist on me because I got people watching me. Okay, I'm gonna hold it from this side. Make it behave. Oh, there, that's good. And my little spacer bead on the end survived because I didn't try to squeeze it like I was the Incredible Hulk or something. But I really like these crimpers. I think they're going to make a big difference in my crimping. So, there's my outer strand. And there's my inner strand. Now I'm going to get my stuff together here and put it all together. I'll be back. Okay, I'm ready to put this together now. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, my bent chain nose pliers. I have a 6mm jump ring. Open it up. Thread on my outer strand. in my inner strand. And I have these pieces of chain are about 6 inches each. And I hope that they will go on this jump ring. I didn't think to test it before I started this. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm going to come over here, take another 6mm jump ring. Thread on my inner strand, my outer strand, and my other piece of chain. And I'm going to take another 6mm jump ring. Open it up. Put my chain on here. And my lobster clasp. Now I have an 8mm jump ring. I'm going to put on this other side. Now those other ones went in just fine. This one's going to give me trouble. There it goes. Then I have about 2 inches of extender chain here. There's what I got. Now I'm going to make a little tangle to go on my extender chain. Take my ball head pin and my little tiny rondelle. Take my pliers. Go to the tip of the pliers. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Around those pliers, crook of the bend, around those pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Pull the wire up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock it back until the loop is centered over the bead. I'll take my bent chain those pliers and hold onto my loop. Hold really tight. Take my other pair of bent chain those pliers. Start my wraps. Get that first wrap good and tight. And just wrap till there's no more room to wrap. Take my cutters. Cut off my extra wire. Take my new crimping pliers and go into the part that just has the little circles on each side. and tuck in my little burrs that are left from where I cut my wire off. And then I'm going to take the end of my extender chain here, open it up, thread on my little angle, and close it back up. Okay, so let me see if I can get it laid out here and I'll be back. Okay, there we go. What will have to be my last necklace from the Bargain Bead Box Spring Blossom collection, because I'm out of beads. I really do believe that this is a really good value. If you're not subscribed and decide you want to be, that coupon code will save you $2 off your first box. As always, thank you all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, hope y'all have a great day. Take care.